Hello and welcome to the Mzansi Gunner Podcast. Thank you for joining us tonight. We are going to be connecting together with the usual cast with a new guest tonight, Daryl. So thank you for joining us, Daryl. We are going to be looking at the last 5 games since our last podcast 2 weeks ago and just reviewing them. And we're going to just start with the North London derby, which is, let's start in good vibes and go back 2 weeks ago when we were on top of the world. So let's start there. Ryan, what was your thoughts on the game? I'm just going to get the stats up from the presentation that we have, and then you can just speak from your heart and what you remember, and then we'll just look at the stats.
Absolutely. It was poetic, is what it was. Ebre Eze getting his hat trick. We know the whole story with Spurs. We know the confidence that the Spurs fans had that they were going to sign him, and then all of a sudden, once we signed him, they didn't want him anymore, which is hilarious and wonderful. We had 17 shots to, I think, their 3. So it was absolute domination. The first goal was glorious. Trossard, incredible turn onto the left foot, snuck it in, and then the rest was just all Eze, man. It was perfect. It was a beautiful North London derby. It's what we needed. Gave us a chance to all laugh at Spurs, and it showed, in my opinion, despite the most recent result, where we stand in the league. I do still believe we're the best team in the league, and that was a perfect example of it. So wonderful, magical game to watch.
Yes, indeed. So, as you said, we had domination. I mean, they had 0.1 XG. We had 2 XG, which is just very embarrassing. For a North London derby against your rivals, to only get 0.1 XG is just really sad. 2 shots on target. I mean, obviously they scored a goal, but it was like a wonder goal from far and from a mistake with Supermendi getting caught on the ball. And because he's normally pretty pressure resistant, so it was unfortunate. But he got caught for another goal early on in the season. I can't remember who it was against. So it's something to watch, that he needs to be careful with that type of stuff. Daryl, what was your thoughts on the game? I'm just going to go back to us on the side there.
Yeah, look, I mean, I was at the game, and
oh yes.
Yeah, it's probably the best atmosphere. I go to about maybe 5 to 10 home games every season, and it's probably the best atmosphere I've ever experienced at the Emirates. And I can't say much more than Ryan did there. The only thing I will say, and the only issue I had, was that when we scored the 4th goal, I think it was the 76th minute, we still hadn't made a sub, and I think we're seeing. We're seeing the knock-on effects of that now. And I'm sure we'll get to this later in the pod, but I can't say how great it was because, Ryan said it really well there. Atmosphere was amazing, but I really did have an issue with Arteta's in-game management there.
Yeah, that's a good point. And then tell us, what did the TIFO look like in real life, and there was also fireworks and other stuff happening?
Yeah, it was crazy. So I was sort of in the North Bank upper behind the TIFO, so I saw it in reverse. So it came up in front of me, and it was, Lose Yourself was playing, and the fireworks were going mad, and the crowd was just so loud. I haven't heard the Emirates that loud ever. The atmosphere, it was just humming. It was electric. That's the best way to describe it. Like there was no way we were going to lose that game. When that TIFO went up, I was like, I'm not even worried. I was nervous the whole week. As soon as it went up, I was like, no, they've got no chance.
Awesome. And Langton, what is your thoughts on the North London derby? And obviously Eze pulling off a man of the match performance, and he'd only scored 1 goal previously against Crystal Palace. He likes to score in games where he's got a connection or there's a story behind him scoring. So he's now scored against Palace and Spurs. So what was your thoughts on his performance? Also for him to, I know you're a man of faith, so he actually prayed and said that, God, please can I score a hat-trick? From scoring only 1 goal to scoring a hat-trick is pretty cool. What is your thoughts on that, and what else did you think about? I mean, I know Trossard scored, and he's one of your favorite as well, Langton. So you must have been super happy with Eze getting a hat trick and Trossard scoring.
Good evening, guys. With that game, I was so super happy. Like you're saying, Trossard is not one of my favorites, but he's my favorite Arsenal player. I love Trossard with all my heart. And with Eze, just the thought of that he nearly went to Spurs, and for him to score a hat-trick against them, I think it was magnificent. For every Arsenal fan, it's something that I think we're not looking forward to, but it's soccer. Those things happen. I was so happy for that. But beating Spurs by those 4-1, I mean, as an Arsenal fan, we were so overexcited. I'm one of those fans who was like, I was over the moon, just to put it that way. Thank you.
Thanks, Langton. This goes back to Daryl's point about the subs and how late we did the substitutions. We had our first sub was at 78 minutes, Trossard. Then we had Nkapia at 88. Yeah, it was just very weird when you're winning a game by such a large margin to make such late subs. And I mean, isn't this a game to bring on a Norgard, or isn't this a game to bring on a... Like, it's really weird that we've hardly seen any of Norgard, especially against Spurs and against Brentford. It's like his old team. Like, he's trained against those guys so many times. He knows, like, where they're going to do this, and this one's going to drop back, or this one's going to push up. So it was very strange. And, yeah, he's been doing much better with his squad management, but the Spurs game and the Brentford game with not playing Norgard were two questionable decisions. So something we have to think about. Let's go on to the next game, the Bayern Munich game. As we know, games have been coming thick and fast. So this game was touted as the best attack versus the best defense in Europe in the world. And it ended up being the team that is the best defense ended up playing with much better attack than the team who's meant to be the best attack. So we really did well. Ryan, what was your thoughts on the Bayern game? And do you want to go through some of the stats there?
Yeah, what I loved about the Bayern game, I actually watched one of those, those watch-along videos where you see those like hate watches where the other fans watch the game and criticize, etc. And the first goal was from a corner, and it was Timber, and everyone was like, "Oh, another Arsenal goal, set piece FC, blah blah blah." And then we went and scored 2 open play goals. One, the final goal, a counter attack as well. So it was beautiful. It was. I remember the last time we played Bayern Munich, when was it? Was it the season before last? It was quite early on, and we looked really, really nervous. Like the guys, even Saliba was shaky. We were making all these mistakes, and you could see it was us stepping up to another level. And we were kind of getting used to playing in the Champions League and in a big stadium against a big opposition. This time around, in my opinion, we were the better side, and we were the more confident side. We had a nice tifo going as well. Just previously for Spurs. So I think there was just a big atmosphere, a big energy in the team, and we obviously went on 13 shots, 8 on target, which is huge against the best attack in the world. I think it was another statement victory for us, and another reason why I'm still not too worried about our recent loss. Some of these stats here are interesting. I didn't actually realize they had 60% possession, but I think it was probably because we allowed them to hold on to that possession for a period because we had a lead. Successful dribbles, 9 and 3. Look, I think Bayern Munich are a very good side still, but we showed them that I think we are currently the best team in Europe. So, yeah, good to watch.
No, good points, Ryan. What's your thoughts, Daryl, on the game after the high of the North London derby and going to watch it? What was it like to watch the Bayern game? Where did you watch it? At a pub or at home?
I just watched this at home. I thought the third goal, it's good to beat them 3-1, but the third goal is just a real mess up by Neuer. And we get them on the break. I think we outplayed them. I think the possession stats don't really matter. I think you're right, Ryan. It was kind of, we were so comfortable in our defensive structure that it didn't really matter letting them have the ball. They weren't doing anything. They were basically playing with 10 men because I think Harry Kane touched the ball twice. I mean, I don't even remember seeing him touch the ball at all. And he's obviously one of their biggest offensive outlets. And something that he does so well is the hold-up and link-up play with the wide forwards in the midfield. He did none of that because we just shut it down. It was a really good game, and it was nice to get one over them because, you're right, 2 seasons ago, we actually should have come through. I think it was the round of 16 in the Champions League, the first knockout phase, which is classic Arsenal, is where we usually go out. And we should have won. We should have gone through, but it was that late penalty shot. They didn't give a penalty that should have been a penalty. And I think this time we just kind of showed them that we're better than them by quite a long way. I liked how company said, they'd like to play us later in the competition, which is similar to what happened last year with PSG. If you remember, they came to the Emirates, we beat them 2-0, and then we met them in the semis, and obviously we know what happened there. Bayern will improve, and if we do meet them in the knockout rounds, it'll be a much different game. So, we'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Obviously, we're playing at home, and I think we also played PSG at home and we beat them at home. So it's different going to the Allianz Arena. It's different going to, I don't know what PSG's the ground is called, but it's different, especially because we had been out of the UCL for 6 or 7 years, and then we got to a quarter got knocked out by Bayern in 23-24, and then we got to a semi, got knocked out by PSG. So we're getting knocked out by big teams at least after putting Real Madrid to the sword. So we're definitely improving. We're doing the right things. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw the stats about the home record. Arteta's home record is since he's returned to the group stages, we have not conceded a goal at home in the Champions League. That is in the group stages. So obviously in knockouts, we conceded to Bayern and conceded to PSG and others. But in group stages, we're just dominant. It's crazy how things have changed. So, Langton, what's your thoughts on the Bayern game? What did you think about, I think we had already lost Gabriel at that stage, so we already were bringing in, we had lost Gabriel for the North London derby as well. So how did you think the defenders, let's put the subs on here. So we had, just go through some of the subs there and then just talk through some of the subs. And we had Trossard getting injured. Yeah, what's your thoughts on that, Langton?
Yeah, I think first of all, with that game, I think having so many new players played a crucial role on our side. I remember people were saying the aggregate was 10-2, something like that. Yes, talking about those previous games where we lost 5-2 or whatever, but the aggregate was 10-2. So everyone was saying that it's 10-2 to Bayern. But having new players on us played a crucial role on us. But as for the defense, especially, I think it was the first game that Gabriel didn't play, and we had who did we play? Was it Masquere or it was Nkape? I think who played. Yes, he played brilliantly, and then that showed the depth that we had for not only for that game, but for the whole season. To me, I think with the substitutions, Arteta did well with all the substitutions, whatever. But overall, the game was good, perfect, and everything was perfect.
And then just want to get your thoughts on Declan Rice, because I think he was man of the match, wasn't he, for this game? Or was he, if I remember, guys? Yeah. What's your thoughts on Declan Rice? Do you think we are overplaying him this season? Because he's been doing really well. He's been one of our best players. I'd say our best players is him, Rice. It's Rice, Gabriel and Timber. So what's your thoughts on Rice and how well he played in that game? And are we needing to rest him more going up into other games?
Yeah, I think Declan Rice has been incredible. He was last season and the season before, to be fair. I think even at West Ham, he was on an incredibly high level. I think he's like third on the Ballon d'Or rankings or something now, or potential rankings for the end of the season. I do think we need to rest him, and you mentioned it before, and I'm really surprised we didn't see more of Norgard against Brentford. I'm surprised we haven't seen more of Norgard in a lot of games, because I thought we were going to bring him in, or I thought we brought him in kind of as a closer to kind of, when we're a couple goals up, he would come and shut down the opposing attack. Because he is quite good at that. He's very good at interceptions. He's also quite a creative player when he needs to be. And I think, obviously Zubimendi's good at his aerial duels, and he's good at his positional play. But Norgard brings another dimension, and I think that could have helped Declan Rice a little bit. I think he's we talk about Timber, we talk about Marino, who's having quite a good run. We've had Zubimendi, who's been in incredible form. But I think Declan Rice is our best player by quite a distance. He's creating a lot. He's defending incredibly well. He's got this box-to-box midfielder thing down. And if we don't rest him, it's going to be a problem, because we need him. And we need him with energy, in my opinion.
Definitely, bro. Daryl, what's your thoughts on the Bayern? Oh, we already heard from you. What's your thoughts on the starting lineup, and what's your thoughts on the substitutions that we made for the Bayern game?
Well, I think we named the best 11, the best available 11. Based on we could. Again, the subs for me, they were okay. This was probably one of Arteta's better sort of in-game managed games. He kind of does this thing where he has like a really bad, he gets kind of emotional, I think, and then he, Spurs was really bad, Bayern was really good, and then you can point out a couple of other games. So I thought the subs were fine. I think, you've got to play in the Champions League. I would have been happy with a draw in this game and then a win against Chelsea. But, still to beat Bayern, I think we managed it really well. We scored, their goal was sensational in terms of how they moved the ball. Great pass, great first time cross, and then a great finish. Not much any team can do against that. Similar to the Richarlison goal, right? So, you take it, and then we score the last goal in the 77th minute, I think it says there, and then it was easy. I think then the game was over. So I think we managed the game well. I think the team managed the game well, and I think I did as well. There's a pity about Trossard, and I hope he comes back soon.
Yeah, and just a quick mention on Martinelli, who's now scored in every Champions League game he's played. He's played in 4 Champions League games and scored in each of them, and two breakaway goals, if I remember correctly. But he obviously scored the breakaway goal against City. Maybe I'm remembering the City goal. He seems to have switched, because in 22-23 he was a starter. Then in 23-24, Trossard kind of muscled his way into the starting lineup, and everyone kept on saying, no, Trossard is a finisher and Trossard is good off the bench and he's clutch. And he is, but I actually saw towards the end of the season he was playing more as a starter than Martinelli. And then in 24-25, they kind of both played as starters. And Martinelli didn't do well when he came on off the bench. But this season, he's been amazing off the bench. So I'm just really glad that he's the one that is running against tired legs. I'm not saying I want to condemn him to being a bench player, but I think we need to think differently, the way the Springboks think about the bomb squad, and that everyone in the squad provides something for us to win. And if Martinelli plays 30 minutes and runs his ass off in those 30 minutes to attack and counter-attack, do transitions, and we get a breakaway or 2 breakaway goals in that time, then he's as important as if he was playing 60 minutes where they were more tracking him back than when he was tired, when they were tired. I don't know if you guys are getting what I'm trying to say, but what's your thoughts, Ryan, on Martinelli's change up in being an impact sub?
Yeah, I think we know Martinelli's direct, right? He tends to put his head down and just go straight for for goal or in the direction that he wants to go. I think Trossard creates a lot more than we give him credit for, because he's often got his head up, he brings the ball back, he assists with build up as well. So I think he is a better starter in that respect. Martinelli coming on against weaker legs is a good thing, and it also helps defensively to some degree, because he's quite good at tracking back. He's incredibly quick, so he does add additional pressure onto the right back that he's playing against. Something that Arteta does, which is akin to the Springboks, as you've said, the bomb squad. He talks about finishers, and he talks about players that come in with an impact, and everyone has their role. So it would be interesting to see what he does with, just going back to Norgard, because I think he would be that kind of impact player as well. So I'd like to see more of him come on later on to kind of close out games a little bit. We mentioned it at the start of the season that we were both, well, a few of us were saying that we think that Martinelli could be utilized as an impact player, because I do think he went through a period where he was struggling to have any kind of impact on the game because he was consistently doing the same thing. So I love the fact that we are playing on transition more, and I think Zubimendi's got had a big role to play in that. So I think it's great that we can bring on Martinelli and we can actually get the ball to him, which is something we didn't see last season. So that's very exciting. I think we've added another dimension to our game, and Martinelli's helped in bringing that about.
Definitely, bro. Let's go on to the next game. We have us playing against Chelsea, a London derby. And we have been doing very well against them, especially at Stamford Bridge in the last. I think they last beat us at Stamford Bridge in 2018, which is crazy for them, especially when they were, a very good side from 2018 to about 2021. Then in 2022, they dropped off. So they should have a better record against us at home. And I'm on a group chat with a lot of Chelsea guys and a top 6 group chat. And they had so much chest after this game that they had held the top of the log people with 10 men. And I understand the 10 men kind of scenario and part of the whole discussion. But the fact is that they're at home, they should be winning at home, or they should be, getting a draw at minimum. And we got a draw. And the ref was just terrible. We got 6 yellows in that game. The previous 12 games, we had 12 yellows the whole season. So we got half amount of yellows in one game that we had for the rest of the season. And so this ref, but apparently, I don't know who I was speaking to, but he just likes to, he's a yellow card free giving ref. So it was very annoying. What's your thoughts, Daryl, on the ref, on the performance, and do you feel a bit aggrieved that we didn't create more against Chelsea? But they were very aggressive in the midfield, especially.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say first and foremost, this wasn't a football match. I mean, I hated it. If you like football, it's a terrible game. It's kind of like, we spoke about the Springboks. It's like when the Springboks play Tonga. They're not there to win. They're just there to hurt us, basically. And that says a lot. I mean, it says a lot. They're at home. I don't get the 10-man thing. People are like, 10 men, you should have beaten 10 men. When there are 11 on the field, and you play against a team like Arsenal, you put 10 men behind the ball and you leave your striker up front. So you're playing against 10 men anyway. So when we have the ball and we're going forward, that sort of 10 men behind the ball thing is happening anyway. We're very lucky that Caicedo didn't damage Mikel Merino. His foot is slightly off the ground. So when Caicedo goes through, Merino's foot isn't planted. That can easily break an ankle or pull a tendon or something like that. I think, who's the ref? I think it was Anthony Taylor. He got a bit trigger happy with the yellow cards. That's fine. I have a problem with how he issued the cards because, Cucurella should have got a card in the 2nd minute, but that was too early. And then 5 minutes later, Zubimendi gets a yellow card. Debatable whether it's a yellow card. But if you're saying, it's too early in the game to give Cucurella a yellow card, why isn't it too early in the game to give Zubimendi one? And that changed the game for us because then Zubimendi's cautious. He doesn't play the same way that he usually plays. And then he gets taken off because he's on that yellow card and we can't risk losing him. So yeah, it wasn't a football match. I think their goal, they don't score that goal if we've got Gabriel and Saliba on the pitch. I just don't think it happens. I think the foul that led to the free kick that then led to the corner that led to the goal shouldn't have been a foul. It wasn't even a 50-50 ball. It was just a bad call from the ref. So there's a whole bunch of things. I'm not going to complain too much about the ref. I think overall he refereed the game well. I think he was just too trigger happy with his cards. I hated that football match. I hate Chelsea, and I hate their fans even more. And I just can't stand playing football against them. And I just want us to win something this season just to shut that specific fan base up for a period of time.
Amen. Preach. Langton, what are your thoughts on your Chelsea friends / enemies? And what did you Daryl's summation of the game?
Okay, talk about that game. The fact that we considered a goal from a corner kick after a heroic save from Raya. Remember, Raya saved that goal-bound ball, and then from there it went straight to a corner, and then they scored from there. But it was very painful. But also I still can't believe why Cucurella didn't get a red card on that game, second yellow card, because he was kicking Saka left, right, and center. I mean, he was all over him, all over Saka, to a point that at one stage, for the first time, I think I saw Saka, angry. I haven't seen Saka being angry, but in that game, I saw him being angry at Cucurella because he wanted the referee to give Saka a yellow card. But overall, I think the referee played a key role in that match for Chelsea to get that point. I was so sad that we didn't beat that Chelsea team, to tell the truth. But yeah, we took that 1 point. We moved forward. That's it. But the referee, I think, I don't know if Martin Taylor had an agenda with Arsenal. That we don't know, because every time when he's officiating our game, he always gives our players yellow cards unnecessary. Like, you can't give a player first caution, first 15 minutes you give a yellow card. Obviously, player will be cautious going forward. He won't play his normal play, like one of the panelists just said about Zubimendi. He gave him a yellow card early, and then it also changes the play. But it was very sad from higher referee like Martin Taylor.
Thanks, Langton. And we've had Eugene join us. He had some issues with power, and he's got his generator up. And do you have an opinion on the Chelsea game that you can generate for us?
Yeah, how's it, gents? The Chelsea game was, I think, one of our worst ones in a while. I wasn't impressed in that game. We never asserted ourselves. As soon as we went 1-1, I thought now this is the time where the real Arsenal is going to turn up. Down to 10 men, their best player is not on the pitch. Cole Palmer is not on the pitch. They take off their young up-and-coming youngster in Esteval. You're thinking, okay, this is an opportunity for Arsenal to show their pedigree, and we never really did that. If anything, they looked more like scoring than us. And yeah, I think when it comes to the corner, I really think David Raya shouldn't have gone for that free kick. Because if you look at the goal, the way we considered the goal, we first considered a free kick. David Raya wasn't sure whether to go out for the cross or not. And then the ball was headed towards him and he had to parry it. Whereas if he had stayed, that ball, he was just going to come straight to him and he was just going to catch it. And maybe we were going to go on a counter. So I think that's one of the things David Raya should brush up on, because even the goals against the Tottenham that we consider, the last 2 goals we considered against them, the one in the league and the one in during the preseason, where he's out of his box. I know it's how Miguel wants us to play, but sometimes particularly when coming for crosses. He's a brilliant goalkeeper when it comes to crosses, but I think that one decision in that game is the one that cost us that goal. But yeah, other than that, I wasn't really disappointed with getting a point at Stamford Bridge. Liverpool went there last year. They won the league, but they didn't win in that stadium. They lost. They lost 3-1 in that stadium. So it's not a bad point to drop at Stamford Bridge. But yeah, other than that, I was okay, man. I was okay to come off with a point.
Yeah, and just going back to the stats, XG, Chelsea only created a 0.6 XG at home, which is quite sad as well. So they are not creating good quality chances. I mean, they did score, but it's quite low to be only getting that amount of XG at home. So I think we kept Liverpool to 0.4. I think we kept City under 1. We're keeping most of the big teams under 1 when we're playing them XG-wise. So some of them are getting goals, but, Soboslai's goal was a worldie, and I can't remember. Oh, Haaland went through. That was a good goal. But, yeah, I think we've just got to keep doing what we're doing. We're going to get some players back now who've been out injured. We'll talk more about injuries later. But obviously, we'll get to the disappointing Villa game next. But we'll first want to talk about Brentford. So let's go to the Brentford game. And it was a clean sheet. It was our first clean sheet after 3 or 4 games. 4 games. It was a Sunderland game we also conceded. So, yeah, we did well. And let's go through the stats here. We had 7 shots on target versus their 1. 62% possession and field tilt 72. So we had 72% of the game in their half. So, I think we did dominate, but I don't think we played well against Brentford. So I think we played very well against Spurs and Bayern, and then to play not so well against Chelsea and Brentford, but still get a result against Brentford is important. So we already spoke about the whole Norgard side of things. Let's look at the subs. And so we had Mosquera coming off on 44 minutes because of an injury. So that disrupted us. Timber had to go to centre back and White had to go to right back. And then we had Nani coming on. I just want to quickly say about Nani. He had a good game against Brentford, but I was a bit disappointed. I was a bit disappointed against Chelsea. He didn't have a good game. He kind of was a bit anonymous, and I think everyone was hoping he'd stick it to his old team. So he's a bit up and down at the moment, but Saka has been slowly gaining form in the last few games, so I'm happy that he's doing better. And, so Nani came on, then we had Martinelli coming on for Eze. We had, and then at the end of the game, let me just... can't see this comment. Let me just take it away. We had Rice coming off and Gyökeres coming on. But I was expecting Gyökeres to get a bit more minutes. I was also a bit disappointed when he got 7 minutes because then he wasn't really ready to play much against Villa. So, I don't know. Once again, it's going back to the subs not being maybe the best in time because we were winning that game 2-0. Surely Gyökeres could have got a bit more time on the pitch. What's your thoughts on that, Ryan?
I think that the first thing and the most important thing is in that game against Brentford, we didn't have a single yellow card. I just want to throw that out there. Not a single yellow card against Brentford. But I think what was most exciting and intriguing for me in the Brentford game was actually Ben White. I thought he was awesome. That cross to Marino was exceptional. The finish was exceptional. Just perfect striker's goal, actually. But, we've got Timber, who's arguably the best right back in the world right now. So for Ben White to come in and make a statement and show his worth and kind of remind us of how good he is on the overlap, I thought that was fantastic. I think in that game, Marino started at 9 and then he moved into the midfield as well, which is just crazy. It's astonishing that someone can do that. And he does it so effectively. So in that game, 61% possession, 15 shots. So it was domination and we did well. And what was important about that game as well, it was just Brentford, but that was our third London kind of, not necessarily a rival in the traditional sense, but it was the third London team we had played in like 4 games. I think it was Spurs, Chelsea, and Brentford. So significant. I think that's important. I think we were back to our free-flowing football. We look at that, 562 passes. That is incredible. I don't know what the pass percent. 84% pass percentage. So that was us at our best, and we were playing open football when, I still can't get my head around the fact, and I know I don't want to go back onto the previous game, but we had 13 fouls against Chelsea and received 6 yellow cards. They had 12 fouls and got 1. So I still can't get my head around that, but this was us where we were allowed to play football, and we did, and we dominated Brentford. It was a good game. It was a fun game to watch, I thought. Yeah.
Thanks, Ryan. I just wanted to quickly highlight this comment. It's my friend Jasper. He's a Man United fan, and I said, we have a red devil in the house, and he says, yes, I'm here to spy. So thanks for watching, Jasper.
Hey, Jasper.
Yeah, you can get some tips on how a proper team plays, and then you can tell it to Amarim. So, what's your thoughts, Daryl, on Brentford game and subs, starting lineup? Obviously, we have more and more of a makeshift defense. Would you have liked to see Gyökeres get more minutes? Marino, obviously, with his goal and then dropping into midfield and getting that assist. What's your thoughts on Marino? Yeah, I'd actually like to hear your thoughts on Marino and Gyökeres, like their season overall as well.
Yeah. Okay, I'll start there then. I think I don't know if it was Ryan earlier saying, our best players of the season, you'd go Raya, Gabriel, Rice, Timber, Zubimendi, probably our 5 best players. Trossard, if you want to throw him in there as well. And I think it'd be silly not to add Mikel Merino in there. I think there was a statistic, this is a guy who's come in to play as an 8, forced through an injury crisis last season to go up front and play striker. Just says, cool, I'll learn that, see what that's all about. And now he's effectively our 3rd choice striker. With Gyökeres and Havertz out, our 1st choice striker. A lot of people are saying if we've got all 3 fit, there might be games where you start Marino as your striker instead of Gyökeres and or Havertz. So, I think he's just sensational, really. The statistic I was mentioning is he'd scored in the last 5 years before he joined Arsenal, I think 21 goals for club and country. And since joining Arsenal, he scored 27 or something like that. Or 27 goal contributions or something like that. Like, I don't know what the exact statistic, but it's just insane to think that you've got this guy who's supposed to be playing. I don't even know if he's a good midfielder. I have no idea.
Also, I think he plays better for Spain in midfield than he does for us. And he plays way better as a centre forward for us than in midfield.
Yeah, it's crazy. With the Gyökeres comparison, it's a pity he got injured. I thought he was starting to look good just before he got injured. Was it against Burnley that he got injured? I can't remember. Anyway, before he got injured, I thought he was looking good. I think he looked really bad against Villa. I know we're not talking about Villa, but I think he looked really bad. I think the Brentford game was too cagey. I agree with Ryan. We were dominant and all that, but we didn't have a lot of threat. A lot of ball, a lot of passes. But it was like, Marino misses that. He sort of gets unbalanced open goal, misses it. Saka leaning back. I don't know how he doesn't put that into the back of the net. And then he kind of flukes a goal where Kelleher should have done better, really. So you can't really make the subs. And Arteta's not, he's never going to make subs if we 1-0 up and we desperately need to win the game. He needs the guys to go and finish off the game. And this is where we've been a bit ropey lately, is not getting that second goal to kill off the game, to let the guys come on. And so I think that Brentford game was great, clean sheet, 2-0, all the rest. But I think it hurt us in the lead up to the Villa game because too many guys were out there for too long.
Yeah, I definitely. Langton, what's your thoughts on Gyökeres? I know we have not talking about Villa, but in general, as I agree with Daryl, he has been looking good towards the first few games of the season he wasn't that effective for me, and then he really started to look good, especially in the game before he got injured. He was making really good passes and just like pre-assists and all sorts of things, and he was occupying two defenders. But I think he just was so knackered, and I think that's why he picked up an injury, because he should have been rotated with someone like Havertz or Jesus or Marino. So it's like he actually got an injury, which is now putting him back in his journey because he was playing too much in the beginning of the season. So what's your thoughts on Gyökeres, and do you think he will thrive more when there's rotation with like a Havertz and Marino?
I think when he came, we know what he did with his former team. He was scoring goals left, right, and center. And I think for most Arsenal fans, we expected that from him. And even the opposition players, they knew what he is capable of. If you look at some of the games that he played before he got injured, very few games, very few moments where we'll see one player marking him. There'll be 2, 3, 4 players marking him on that. So they knew how dangerous he was. And I think, but overall, I'm impressed with him. It's just a matter of time before he get goals. He's a striker. If you get 1 or 2, then it will boost his confidence. But overall, like I'm saying, I'm so confident with him. Coming out of injury, for me, he's a bit not up to scratch like what he was before he got injured. Yeah.
Thanks, bro.
As for the substitutions, I think I'm with. I always think of Mikel Arteta. He doesn't make substitutions when we leading 1-0, and I've noticed that many times that he doesn't want, unless and until maybe he want the team to score a second goal, maybe to be comfortable, then he start making changes. For him to make changes when we're leading 1-0, I think he's one of the coaches that doesn't likely to do that anytime soon.
Yeah. No, thanks, bro. Eugene, what's your thoughts on the Brentford game, and what's your thoughts on us, finally getting another clean sheet? At least we were solid defensively with a makeshift defense. And would you like to talk about Ben White? Because I thought he was quite good, both defensively and attacking wise.
Yeah, I was quite surprised that once Mosquera went off, when I saw Ben White, I thought he was just going to slot in straight into. When Timber came in, I thought Timber was going to play right back and just Ben White is going to move on to centre back. But Timber just went straight into centre back position. I know, he does play. He was playing that position for Ajax before he came to us, and I think he does play that position also for the Netherlands. But yeah, I was surprised. He did quite well, but I think he's a bit too short to play centre back. Yeah, I think he's solid when he plays on the right, and his one-on-one defending is very good for the wings. But yeah, for centre back position in the Premier League, that's why Lisandro Martinez is not really pulling the trees there at United, because you have to deal with size. It matters. But yeah, the Brentford game, we made a lot of changes. They also made a lot of changes. For me, there is nothing really to discuss there, because it wasn't really a strong Brentford, and it wasn't also really a strong. Maybe strong is the wrong way. It wasn't first choice Arsenal, but the Brentford side was also much changed. They didn't have their best forward on in the starting lineup. He came in when the score was already 2-0, I think, or just before Saka made it 2-0. But there was something interesting after the match. I saw on social media, people were slamming Saka, saying he's becoming a bit too selfish. I'm like, dude, the guy scored. If he had made the shot and it didn't go in, then I would slate him. But it went in at the end of the day. So what's there to complain about? I know we all want that celebration. I want that celebration, but there's one thing I want more than that celebration, and it's an Arsenal win. Saka scored and made the goal, got the goal that made it possible for us to be comfortable enough to get the win. So I don't see what's the discussion there. I think goals will come with time when it comes to Gyökeres. But yeah, very good performance from Ben White. Once I saw the performance from right back, the overlaps that we, got accustomed to within the previous seasons, I was like, yeah, if we've got this added to what Timber can do for the remainder of the season, then we are going to be a difficult team to stop.
I think it's an interesting thing to consider pods and consider. Ben White plays really well with Odegaard and Saka. But then Timber, I think, plays better with Eze at right centre mid / attacking mid, because Timber is more defensively solid and Eze can, be more attacking because he's got Timber behind him on the right. So I think it's interesting. And then I think let's go to the Villa game while we're on this topic, because the Villa game was an interesting one because people were quite critical of Odegaard, but I think he actually didn't have a bad game. I think he played well. He didn't play excellently. I mean, he had that good shot, and he also had a few good through balls. I think what people were annoyed by is that he wasn't moving the ball as fast as Eze does through the midfield. Eze is more direct. Odegaard tends to pass sideways, and he also tends to just take a bit of extra time on the ball, which can kill a transition. So I understand people's frustration, but I think we need to realize that we can use Odegaard in some games and Eze in some games. And I think there's also going to be some games where we play them both in midfield. And I also want to see Odegaard on the left centre mid or left 8. So I don't know what's your thoughts, Ryan, on the Odegaard thing. We can obviously talk about the stats here. But just to quickly, look at the Odegaard side of things, because it's been tough because he's been out injured and he didn't have a good season last season. But he was our best player in 22-23 and 23-24. So and he's our captain. So it's a conundrum that we need to figure out, because we also want to win the league, but we don't want to play someone who's out of form. It's very hard. So he's not out of. I think you know what I'm trying to say.
No, I agree. I understand exactly what you're saying. In that 2022-2023 season, Odegaard had 15 goals and 7 assists, which is absolutely astonishing. It was a ridiculous season. What we were doing very well in that season, though, was we were playing very well on transition. And he was playing, so him and Xhaka are both left-footed players. Xhaka would often slot in behind him, and he would push really far up into a 10, even into almost a false 9, which is what Eze was doing for Crystal Palace. Then the season before last, I think, we started playing Rice at 8 and Odegaard at 8, and they would each play on the left and right, and Odegaard's very left-footed, so you'd always end up, the other way around, you'd always end up going to the one side. The advantage that Eze has is he's so good with both feet, so he can go anywhere on the field and he's comfortable. So I think what we've done this season, I don't know if you've noticed it, but we've seen Declan Rice move back quite a bit, and he almost slots next to Zubimendi, almost in a double pivot, and then they allow Eze to play as an actual 10. And we haven't done that with Odegaard for a while. So I think there's a change in which we're playing a little bit. And if we can find a way to get Odegaard into those positions that he was in 22-23 when he scored 15 goals, I think he'll do really well. But I think it's a case of figuring out how we play, how we invert our fullback, because that also affects it. Because if you remember, there was a period where we were flooding the midfield and there was no space, and he would play these triangles and keep going around in circles, basically. So I agree with what you're saying, because it's Ben White overlaps. So it gives us an opportunity to play a little bit differently, because Timber ends up playing quite a big defensive role because Calafiori pushes all the way up. So it's a tactical thing. It's something we need to figure out. I personally wouldn't say Eza is a better player or a better player for us, but I also wouldn't say Odegaard is a better player for us. The only thing Odegaard does better, in my opinion, is he presses really well. So he's really good in helping us to shut down teams and preventing them from building up play, which is what you want from a captain. So it's such a tricky one. It depends who we play, how we play, but certainly with Zubimendi in and playing long balls to players like Gyökeres, he opens space on the wings for Saka. I think with Odegaard in that team now, with Zubimendi in and Gyökeres in, I think we'll see more of him. And I think he'll achieve a lot more this season, but he just needs to get his confidence back, I think. I think that's probably what it is. I don't know.
No, thanks, Ryan. I think, Daryl, you're quite passionate about Odegaard, if I remember, on a group chat, WhatsApp. So please do share what's your thoughts on Odegaard scenario, and what do you think is going to be you've also got a comment here from, I'm just going to read this quickly, from Spusi. So Odegaard is obviously key to what we need to achieve, hence Mikel is speeding up his fitness levels by giving him all these minutes. Yeah, no, I think that's a good point. Daryl, what's your thoughts on Odegaard and the Villa game in general? Like, we can go through the stats with you.
Yeah, okay. On Odegaard, really quickly, I've changed my mind a little bit, if I'm honest, since we spoke. And that's because I listened to a podcast. So this analysis is this idea is not mine, but I really agree with it. Odegaard was our player of the match against Villa. And it's not a performance issue. He's really good. He had a really good game. But it's what he does to the team when he plays. So he doesn't move the ball quick enough. The horseshoe comes back into play. It's round and round and round and round. There's no direct threat. And he keeps dropping deep to fetch the ball. We've just bought Zubimendi. It's not Thomas Partey. It's not Granit Xhaka. You don't have to come back and fetch the ball because you've got Zubimendi there and you've got Rice sitting there. So the progression and the transition, we kind of lose it. So we have to figure out, like what Ryan was saying there, I think, is we have to figure out how to play with him. And maybe it's in different games. You have Odegaard, the games you have Eze. I don't think they can be on the same pitch together. And I think he has to change the way that he plays and be more direct. Eze scored 3 goals against Tottenham because he took shots. He moved the ball quickly out of his feet and he unleashed 3 times. All 3 of his goals were pretty much the same. Touch, touch, shoot. Odegaard doesn't do that. He goes touch, 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 pass backwards with no sort of incision. I love Odegaard. He's my favorite player. I've got him on the back of almost all of my Arsenal shirts that I've bought in the last 4 years, but I think he can do more. Yeah, and in terms of the Villa game, I'm struggling because I'm on my phone here, so I can't really see the stats. But I'll just sort of talk about what I saw yesterday.
I'll share the stats and then you can just comment on them. So they had 2.2 XG and 2 goals. We had 1.5 XG and 1 goal. They had 15 shots. We had 15 shots. They had 47% possession. We had 53. But I just think in the midfield and in the intensity, they were just really all over us. And I don't think we played badly, but they played better than us. We're
just tired. We're tired, Dayne.
Yeah.
And I don't understand it because City's playing the same schedule as us. They've got less players. Villa's playing the same schedule as us. They've got less players. Chelsea are playing the same schedule of us. Okay, they've got more players than anybody, but they've got a lot of injured players as well. I don't understand why we're so tired. And it's because, in my opinion, of the way Arteta manages the team with rotation and in-game. He's run Kai Havertz into the ground. He hasn't played a game in 3 weeks. The guy collapsed last season on the last day because he just couldn't run anymore. Declan Rice is being run into the ground. I can tell you now, if we lose Declan Rice for a month or more, we will not win the league. He's fundamental to what we're doing. Odegaard can be injured for 3 months. I dare say Saka could even be injured for 3 months. Declan Rice is fundamental to our success. We were just tired yesterday. Marino, hooked at halftime. I was looking at him. The guy looked like he was running with concrete in his boots. just knackered, and he's been one of our best players. All of them, just even Noni looked knackered. He came on and he looked knackered. He had a terrible game. I don't know what he was up to. Eze, terrible game. He also looked tired, like lazy on the first goal. That was schoolboy stuff. He looked over his shoulder. He looked at Matty Cash, and then didn't follow Cash or the ball when the cross came in. It was I couldn't believe what I was watching. I almost threw something at my TV. I was so annoyed, but my TV is big and expensive, and I didn't want to replace it. But yeah, anyway, look, I'm frustrated about yesterday's game. But in the cold light of day, I think we'll rotate against Bruges, and Wolves will be a walkover. That's all good.
Yeah, no, I think you just going back to what you said. City and Chelsea have had similar schedules than Villa. The thing is, they actually haven't. City have had much easier away games and home games. So I'm really not worried. I know that they're hitting form, and it's like more PTSD that we are kind of responding to the City threat and them chasing us down, especially what happened in 22-23. They are not the same City. They have conceded 4 goals against Fulham. Was it at home? Did they concede 4 goals against Fulham at home?
No, I think it was Craven Cottage. But I didn't mean the schedule as it. What I meant is they're playing the same amount of minutes as us.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I don't understand why we look so tired when they're in the Champions League, they're in the Premier League, they're playing every 3 days. Villa's in the Europa League, they're playing every 3 days. They just look fitter than us.
I think we tired from last season and the season before, where City have been rotating for the last few seasons. So I think that's where the difference comes in.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. So, but Sposiso said that Odegaard actually had 3 shots on target yesterday. So, yeah, I think he does need to just shoot more. I mean, he shot that the one where Martinez just tipped it away and it was going in or going to hit the bar. That was a cracker of a shot. So, I mean, Odegaard was shooting a lot in 22, 23, and 23, 24. And then in 24, 25, he just stopped shooting. I don't know if it was because his ankle was still injured and he didn't have the power to generate a shot and he didn't feel confident to shoot. But he's at least shooting again this season. So that is good. Because that's what you're right, Daryl. That's what Eze does. He shoots. So, yeah, what's your thoughts, Langton, on the Villa match and on Emery? Let's go to the record, Arteta versus Emery. He's only won 2 out of 10 games against Emery. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I can only talk about maybe Arteta and Emery because unfortunately I didn't watch the game yesterday as I attended my daughter's concert. But with Emery, he seems to have the edge of. Sorry about that. He seems to have the edge of Arteta. I don't know why. And then as for our players seemingly having fatigue, and I think we're having the coach who believes in certain players and who doesn't believe in certain. I had one of the panelists talking about Man City here. Guardiola sometimes changes the players. He doesn't need the players to get injured, whatever, to change. But with Arteta, he always has these best players. We talked about Knockout before. Why hasn't he played any EPL game? We don't know. But as of Emery and Arteta, I think it's just in the mind of the coaches that I'm always losing against him. Let me try this, and then you fail. And then it goes back to the drawing board. I'll try next time. But Emery seems to have the edge over Arteta in every game that he plays against.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point. I also wanted to just bring up, I think every team has their bogey team, and at least we've put to bed somewhat this season the other mid-block teams. We've got West Ham, Fulham, and Newcastle, and we beat Newcastle and Fulham both away, which we haven't been very successful away at those 2 grounds. So I'm obviously upset about the Emery and the whole situation and with Villa, but other mid-block teams, the mid-table mid-block teams, we are improving against, and we still haven't kind of got out of 3rd and 4th gear. So we haven't even hit 5th gear. I think we we were in like fourth to fifth gear against Tottenham and Bayern, but then kind of have slipped back into third and fourth, even second gear in some of these recent games. So we haven't played 5 games in fifth gear at all this season, and we're top of the UCL and EPL log. So that's what I'm really just looking forward to, is when we click, when we have more players back from injury, I think we're going to need to probably bring one player in January just to, look at a market opportunity. If there's a loan available for someone, or if there's a cheaper, younger player that can just be extra legs for us. So we've got a comment that just come in here. Our tiredness is, so let me just show it and not just read it. Our tiredness is due to what the opponents bring at us. The level of intensity we face against Sunderland, Chelsea, and Villa is hardly shown to other teams. Maybe that's how teams believe they can crack us. It's a fair comment. I think, what's your thoughts on that, Eugene, on Spusiso's comment there?
They believe they can crack us. I don't know about that. I don't really think teams believe they can crack us. I think there's been a difference because all those 3 games is away games. We seem to have improved our home form, and then now it looks like our away form is dipping as a result. And I remember, was it two seasons back, and even last season, when we went away, we would see games out, But this year, for some reason, when we are away, we can't seem to get clean sheets for some weird reason. And something that's creeping in now is conceding late goals away from home. It's something that we were not doing. But I guess all these things, maybe you can factor in the fact that we don't have our best centre back lineup, best centre back pairing, and we've got injuries to key personnel. These away games are the games that we would get those corner kick goals from, and without Havertz, because he played a very, very big part in the corners last season. Without the 2 centre backs, you are going to struggle when it comes to. I was looking at some of the corners we took yesterday, and I was who are these people there? Where is the danger in this thing? And Noni took one corner, and it was dreadful the other day. So those injuries are really having an impact, and I think we are not tired. I don't think our team is tired, honestly. I think what Arteta does is he demands a lot. Look at when we lose the ball in the. Look at all our players, the amount of running that they do. So that takes out energy in them, and I don't think it's a matter of because you're playing the same players every day, we look tired every day. No, we don't look tired. We certainly didn't look tired the other day when we played Bayern. We didn't look tired when we played. Every time we play at home, we look tired. It's when we play away that, because we don't have the same kind of threat that we show at the Emirates when we play away, it looks like we're tired, and we're not. It's just that it's not clicking. And also, I think there's 2 players that are playing a role in this thing of not looking as slick as we look at home. And for me, that's Mikel Merino and Eze, because for me, those are the 2 players that they pop up in moments. And I feel sometimes, particularly with Eze, because at least Mikel Merino drops into midfield and then he becomes an extra player in midfield. With Eze, it's like there's times when you don't really see him, like you don't see him at all. And you're like, but where is this guy? We need him to influence the game. And that's why I edge. If I was the manager, I would more often than not in the 10, I would play the captain over him, because I think there you need someone who's going to influence the game more. And I don't think Eze is doing that. I'm happy to play him when the game is open and he's got space to play around. But when it's tight, I don't think he's your guy. Maybe on the left, he can do it because, snapshots, and then But I think Odegaard, that's where for me he can see a pass. I think maybe he should improve on his right side bias. Maybe start playing, maybe with Eze if he drops into inside more. Maybe we can do something about it. But what I liked, I think in the game when the captain got injured, if I remember correctly, he started them both on the 8th position. They were on the 10. They were doubling up on the 10. I think that came in because we saw it at City. And with City, I'm not really fast about them, and I'm not scared about them because they're conceding goals for fun. They will look bright, they will look energetic because people are saying they're not tired. They will look like that going forward. But at the back, for me, they look tired every time I watch them. So when it comes to the Emery side of things, maybe that guy doesn't like us, Maybe we must just accept the fact that he doesn't like us. Their goalkeeper also doesn't like us. And I think that is something that it's a grudge that we must hold also as Arsenal. Mikel Arteta, the players, we're playing them in 3 weeks' time. They should look at that match as a grudge match. I said this when we played Bayern, and I said I would take, or before the Bayern match, I said I would take a Bayern loss or a Bayern draw if it meant we smash Chelsea. And this Villa game is the kind that I would take a draw before we play them if it means we're going to smash them, because I really am desperate for a smashing. They need a smashing. They need a 4-5. They need a 4-5. Because if you look at them, we are missing chances. It's not like we're not dominating them. We are dominating them. It's just that we're missing those chances, and when they get a chance, they use it. I remember the other year we considered a goal from John McGinn, but the entire match we were dominating them, and we ended up losing that match 1-0. I think the likes of Gyökeres, these are the matches that we brought them in for. If Gyökeres we play first 10 games, we get a clinical chance like the one Rice got against Tottenham. Remember when we got this? If it falls to Gyökeres, that kind of chance against Villa, and we score that goal, it's 1-0 10 minutes into the game. That's a kind of game that we can smash a team. And I'm really looking forward to it. I really need those guys to now start disliking Villa as much as they dislike the likes of Tottenham.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. So let's go to our fixtures coming up. We've got Bruges. Got Bruges next in Champions League. We've got 15 out of 15 points, so we can really heavily rotate. We are playing away, and they have actually had their last, I think, 2 seasons. They've actually been playing well in the Champions League. I don't know where they are in the log this season. Does anyone know? Could
someone pretty good this year? There's someone that got a beating from them.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they had a high-scoring game. Hey, they had a high-scoring game. Yeah, so just check the results, Daryl or Eugene, and then I'll just start with Ryan. What's your thoughts on the Bruges game? Brugge, I don't know how to say it.
Bruges they're actually third in the Belgian league, so they're not actually having the best season so far. They've had 5 losses in that league. There were 2 really good points from Daryl and Eugene there that I agree with 100%. My biggest criticism of Arteta has always been rotation. I just even now we're rotating more than we did before, but it's not enough. It's just not enough. If Norgard had started against Brentford and we'd rested our players, I feel like we might have had a different result against Villa, because I've just checked now. Villa's goal difference is 7. Ours is 19. Us, City, Chelsea, Brighton, Liverpool, and Spurs have all scored more goals than Villa this season, and they're equal on goals scored with United. So I do think fatigue played a big role. The point Eugene made, which I'm quite excited to see, is against Bruges, I think we start Odegaard and see how Eze does off the bench. because you're right, he does have moments where he kind of disappears a little bit, and he does have those little impact moments. And one thing that Odegaard's done well, and I agree with what you're saying, Daryl, is he plays a good game, but he affects the team negatively sometimes because he slows down the build-up. It would be nice to see, because for a lot of the game, he'll play a good game. And he's in players' faces, especially on defense. He's very good at controlling the midfield. It would be interesting to see what kind of impact Eze had off the bench. I'd like to see Norgard start against Bruges. I'd like to see us do as much rotation as we possibly can in that game. I'd start MLS. I'd bring Nwaneri on after like 50 minutes. I think this is our chance. This is the kind of game where we can reset and rebuild and start afresh, man. We need to bench our players. And I think this is the chance Raya gets to relax. We bring on Kepa and we just go, because we've got nothing to lose for that in that game, in my opinion. And then after that, I think we have Wolves. Let's do it, man. Let's rest our players. Let's take a chance.
So Pratisha's on a similar train of thought as you. She said we must play Salman, the 16 or 17-year-old against Bruges. So she's even that radical that she's like, let's just rest. What's your thoughts, Daryl, on, did you see where Bruges are on the league? Did anyone see?
Yeah, they're 26th.
Okay, so yeah, definitely a game to.
So I think the game Eugene was referring to was they drew with Barcelona 3-3, but they've lost all their other games. They got, I think Bayern beat them 4-0. I mean, look, I think I won't go as radical as Pratisha there, but I agree with a lot of what Ryan was saying. I think we're not going to see sort of League Cup level rotation. Arteta respects the competition too much, and he's also just not like that. But I expect, Rice will get rested. I think Raya will get rested. I'd like to see MLS start. Calafiori suspended for the Wolves game, so I don't really want him to play. He looked absolutely knackered yesterday after Villa, and a tired Calafiori is going to get injured, and we don't need him to get injured. We need him to be sharp. So I would rest him for the next 2 games. Miles is 18, 19 years old. He should be able to play the next 2 games. I think that's fine. So I expect probably 5 changes. I don't think he'll go sort of any more than that. And I hope to see people like Norgard get a start, and even Nwaneri. I want to see what Odegaard's all about. He needs to get up to fitness. I want Gyökeres to start. I don't want Merino anywhere near that first 11. And hey, maybe even Gabriel Jesus from the bench at some point. He played in the behind closed doors game against Man United a few days ago, so hopefully he can get on the pitch as well. I don't care if we lose this game. I think it'll be, if we rotate heavily and lose the game, whatever. I don't think we'll lose it even if we do rotate heavily. I think we're too good for that. So yeah, just go, do whatever we need to do, and then Wolves again, see what the state of the squad is, and rotate again. We've got then a week before Everton, and then it comes thick and fast in the Christmas period. Liverpool on the 8th of Jan. Everybody needs to be looking at that game. Aston Villa on the 30th of December, I think. Like, it's just crazy. So those are games we're going to have to win.
No, that's good points, guys. Langton, what's your thoughts on? Let's go on to the next game, onto the Wolves game, because I think we've spoken enough about Bruges. What's your thoughts on Wolves? And they've been pretty woeful this season, but I heard people have been saying they have been playing better the last 2 games, so trust them to. I think they're probably going to. I was laughing at my Man United friends. They're saying, "Yep, Wolves are probably going to beat us on Monday, or at least draw against us, or something like that, because they haven't had a win yet this season, and now they're blooded. And they actually normally do play well against United, so it's quite funny. But what's your thoughts on the Wolves game? And I know Keller's out suspended for that game, so MLS will play. And I think if we rotate well against Bruges, we can play a pretty strong team and get good momentum against Wolves. What's your thoughts, Langton? Oh, you're on mute. Sorry.
Sorry, man. I think that's a game that we have to win massively. Seeing that we were talking about Club Brugge before, if we can make massive changes, play those who he doesn't normally play, then get these guys that normally play a rest for the Wolves game, and we have to win that game comfortable. I don't see us struggling in that game, regardless of how Wolves play tomorrow against Man United. They might win tomorrow, they might draw, but coming to us, it's a game that we have to win to go back to our winning ways after what happened yesterday.
Yeah, thanks, bro. What's your thoughts, Eugene? What's your thoughts on Wolves, and who should we look out for from them? I mean, I think Cunha was their biggest threat, and now he's left. Yeah, what's your thoughts on Wolves?
Yeah, they have a former Orlando Pirates midfielder, their Marshall Munetsi, who's looking quite good, eh? Because for Pirates, for some reason, for Pirates he was a DM, but there he's an attacking midfielder. So, and he's a very good attacking midfielder. I don't understand how it works, but anyways, yeah, they've got also Strand Larsen, who's looking very good. Yeah, but we should smash those ones if we play our main side, which we won't. What I would do is, because we've got a good squad, such that whenever we play whatever team we select, it looks like we didn't rotate because all of those guys are so good. What I would do is, the players that I play I would play on Tuesday, whatever day we're playing Bruges, I would play the same team. I would really play the same team from because at the end of the day, you start Nwaneri, you start Nwaneri, you start MLS. The rest of the back four picks itself, except for I think the back four picks itself either way. I wouldn't start. Obviously, I would change the goalkeepers because for Bruges, I think we're gonna have to bring Kepa in. But for Wolves, it's gonna be Raya, and then I would still play Norgard for both games, and maybe Merino in midfield as the double pivot, and then yes, play Nwaneri behind the striker. And then on the wings, I mean, you can take a pick. You can take a pick, but I think maybe give Noni a run. Give him 2 games to start. Give Saka a rest, and then also start Gyökeres. For me, this is the time. I think he came in as a sub for the last 2 or 3 games, so I think this is the time where he needs to start and he needs to get the confidence. If he goes to Bruges and smash Bruges, maybe get 1 or 2 goals. Go to Wolves, get 1 or 2 goals. Now that you start picking up the confidence, because I saw there at where there is an explosion, people are busy wanting others to go out, but Eketike is bringing them in now. So Gyökeres shouldn't be left behind. He needs also to keep up the pace, because what they do. Van der Ven scored the same amount of goals as Gyökeres, as if he hasn't scored more goals than any of their strikers at Tottenham, but because they'll always, use him as a target, I think these are the kinds of games that he needs, so that by the time we get to the Villas and the Liverpools on the 8th of Jan and them guys, he has already got the confidence of putting the ball in the back of the net. But yeah, I don't think that will be a problem for us Wolves. I think it's at home also. So yeah, it should be an easy trip.
Cool. Okay. Let's look at players of the month. That looking back at November, I think we scored a lot of open play goals. So that was a nice change from set piece FC Ole Ole. So I think we were always kind of championing our defense in the beginning of the season, and then things shifted against Spurs, Bayern, etc. So, Ryan, what's your thoughts on the player of the month from Arsenal, and then in the league, who's been impressing you in November?
Sure, that's a tough question, that, because there've been a few. Obviously, Eze with his incredible hat trick. Marino has been in outrageous form. I think it's 7 goal contributions in 6 games, something along those lines. Declan Rice, I think, has been the best player of the year, or the season so far, and he's doing it on both sides, defensively and on attack. So I'd say it's between those three. Trossard's also had a great impact. For me, I'd say best player so far. The only reason I'm going to say Marino is just because he's been playing 2 positions. I personally think we do need to give Gyökeres some minutes now, because I would like to see him get into form, because I think he can be very dangerous and he works very hard. And I just worry that, Marino at 9 is not a long-term sustainable solution. So let's see what Gyökeres can do. But I'm going to say Marino, because it's the second time now that he's stepped in when we've needed him, and he's just brought something outrageous. That kind of form that elite strikers bring. So yeah, I'll say Marino, just because it's blown my mind. It's insane that he keeps doing it.
Oh, that's a good shout. I also think I'd go with Marino for the month. I think because Rice has been so consistent over the whole season, he's not standing out as much, even though he had a great game the great month. Trossard's also a good shot, but then he's been injured, but then came back from injury and then got injured again against Villa. We didn't mention that he picked up. He came on as a sub and then went off, so it's not looking that great for him. I hope that he can come back soon. And another bit of injury news, I think, I'm bringing up from the agenda later on stuff, but I think Saliba will probably be back for the Wolves game, so I think we won't risk him for Bruges, but it would be nice to have him back for Wolves. So, yeah, Daryl, what's your thoughts on Arsenal Player of the Month, and who's been impressing you in the Premier League?
I think our player of the month of November, Declan Rice. Just for all the reasons Ryan mentioned, and just because he's just so good. He's just everywhere, and it's not just, if you watch him in the game, the problem with the TV cameras is that you only see where the ball goes. If you watch him off the ball, it's like Odegaard. If you watch Odegaard off the ball, he's insane. He's just all over the place. But Declan Rice off the ball is just, he's geeing up players. He's leading. He takes games by the scruff of the neck. He delivers set pieces and free kicks. He's our player of the season. But I think in November specifically, he had, a really good month. And then it's difficult, sort of wider Premier League. Is that what you're asking? Sort of players from other teams?
Yeah, from other teams. Like Shirky's had a good run, and Foden's playing better. Who else is...
I mean, that's probably where I would have gone. I think Reece James has had a bit of a resurgence at Chelsea. Esteval, he's been really good for Chelsea. Foden's picked up. You can't look past Erling Haaland. I know it's boring, but he's just been on fire. He's on like a 50-goal pace for the season. If he keeps scoring at this rate, he's going to score 50 Premier League goals. That's just mental. But yeah, Turkey's good. Ruben Diaz at City as well. Wemo at United playing pretty well. So yeah, I mean, there's quite a few. I'd say Morgan Rogers at Villa. He looks pretty sharp. Antoine Semenyo at Bournemouth. If you go in the defenders, Senesi, Munoz at Palace, Senesi at Bournemouth. So yeah, there's a lot of players around the league that are looking pretty good.
Oh, good shots. Langton, what's your thoughts on Arsenal Player of the Month, in your opinion, and who's been impressing you from the Premier League?
Sorry. I didn't see that I was on mute. I was saying on Arsenal, I'll go with Declan Rice. He has been massive, giving us good runs. And on Arsenal, I'll specifically go with Declan Rice. And then there's Calafiori. It's a pity that I think in one of the podcasts, I once said that when it comes to player of the month, player of the year, we always go for the players who have got goals. But we also have players like Calafiori who was doing a donkey's wicket on us. But I'll still go with Rice. As for the EPL, there's only one player who has impressed me so far. It has to be Foden from Man City. The guy has been playing massively and doing everything for Man City. For me, he's the best player so far. Though I'm not taking Rice from him when on the EPL player of the current players. Yeah, but he has to be 14, as I'm saying.
Thanks, bro. Eugene, what's your thoughts on Arsenal and EPL Player of the Month?
Yeah, with the Premier League, I think there's one guy that I'm really impressed of, and it's that Brentford striker, Igor Thiago. I think he had a very good month. He scored a number of goals. He scored a cracking goal. I think was it Tottenham? Wait, no, it wasn't Tottenham. The game before they played us, he scored a very good goal. I know he does score penalties, and he missed one when he should have equalized to make it 2-2. I don't remember who they were playing. But yeah, he had a very good month, and I would give it to him. In terms of Arsenal, man, look, I think we're unanimous in Declan Rice, but if I wasn't going to give it to Declan Rice, I would go with value for money, and no one gives you more value for the 27 million we paid for Leandro Trossard. He was terrific last month. Some of the goals, some of the assists. Didn't he score? I think he scored the opener against the Spurs, and I think he had an assist against Bayern. He had very good moments last month, and generally, except for yesterday, generally when he scores, we do well. Remember the goal he scored against Sunderland, and it looked like we were going to hold on for the win, and it was a very good goal. And it didn't look like we were going to get something, and out of nothing, boom, dropped the shoulder. The defender went one side, just put it over on the roof of the net, and yeah, he has been one guy who has really impressed me, particularly after the talks that he was going to leave at the end of last season or before this season. For him to have such an impact, and I think a lot of us will agree that he's probably been the best player to play on the left-hand side, and that is the position where, some would say maybe was spot for that. Some can say, Martinelli has had good moments. I think Martinelli, when he scored against Bayern, we were like, yeah, man, it's not Martinelli there, because Martinelli has had good moments off the bench this season. But when Trossard got injured, that's where we saw. But actually, Trossard is very, very important this year in that position. So yeah, he would be my man of the month for November.
Thanks, guys. And then we're going to just talk a bit about our rivals in the Champions League and EPL. We've spoken a bit about City, but I just want to look. I see they're playing Palace and Real Madrid away. So Real Madrid first, then Palace away. So they've got two big away games that are going to drain them a bit, which is good. So I do think they'll probably drop points against one of them. I think they might go all out against Real Madrid and then drop points against Palace. So, and if you look at what they've conceded in the last while, they've conceded 4 against Fulham, 2 against Leeds. They conceded. Oh wait, I went the wrong way. They conceded 2 against Newcastle, 2 against Leverkusen. Yeah. So recently, in the last 5 games, they've conceded quite a lot of goals. So they're not looking that great in the UCL. They need to make the top 8. I think they're probably going to go strong against Real Madrid. What's your thoughts, Ryan, on Man City as our rival in Champions League and EPL?
Yeah, I think Shirky and Foden being in good form makes it tricky. I think what's been so interesting about City this season is that they've been happy to give up their possession football, which they used to rely on so much, and they're happy to give the ball away, and they rely on counter-attacking football. So I think a lot of their vulnerability comes from a change of style, but they are conceding goals. And, Donnarumma is a very good goalkeeper, but they still are. And we've spoken about the fact that they do actually have an incredibly good squad. I think City is our biggest challenge this season because I think they know how to play a full 38-game season and succeed. Palace just won, by the way. They beat Fulham at Craven Cottage. So Palace are a good side. They're an organized side. So I think they could do something against City. I think I'm predicting a draw maybe. That would be nice to see. Villa, I don't think Villa are gonna last the full season. As I mentioned before, their goal difference is only 7, which is it's quite poor actually. And they don't really have the squad. You can't rely on Matty Cash to score every week. With Watkins not really scoring, Rodgers has been good. They've got some impact players, but I don't think they can take it. Chelsea, I think, is too emotional. I think they're disciplined. I think they're the worst. They've got the worst discipline in the league. So, and what we learnt against them, even though the game was chaotic and there were yellow cards and they, were down to 10 men, we still had a better pass percentage. We had equal amounts of shots on target. I think they don't actually play very well with the ball. So I don't think Chelsea are, and also they proved against Leeds that they can concede. So I don't think Chelsea is going to be as big a threat as we think. Liverpool, I made a note of this. Liverpool's goal difference is 0 right now. So Liverpool have got a long way to go. Salah dropping in form has had a huge impact on them. I think the team I'm most impressed with this season is actually Palace because I think Glasner's a genius. But I don't think they have the squad to go very far. I think it's going to be between us and City, and then probably Chelsea will be 3rd or 4th. Maybe United can come up. I absolutely believe we went on an 18-game unbeaten run, and that's the kind of run that champions have. And I do believe we're the best team in the league. And I believe we are. The Champions League's difficult because you're traveling so much and it depends on the day how you perform. But I think this is very much our league season to lose. So we need to refresh against Bruges and Wolves. We need to learn how to rotate better. And I think this is ours, man. That's my early opinion. That is a tricky game I'm seeing now. Everton, that is a difficult game. So we need to get through that game. Yeah, those are my thoughts.
No, that's good. Daryl, what's your thoughts on our rivals? And what are your thoughts on Crystal Palace versus Man City? Oh, you dropped off. Daryl. Okay, Langton, what's your thoughts on our rivals and the City Palace game that's coming up, and City versus Real Madrid, and who do you think is our biggest rival in the Champions League?
Yeah, in the Champions League, I'll still say that it has to be Madrid and PSG. I'm still not ruling them out of the race for the Champions League. And in the EPL, I think right now with the AFCON coming up, I think with most of the African players coming to play in Africa, for the EPL, I think right now I'll wait until January after the AFCON to see who will be on top, who will have more players coming to play in AFCON, and then take from there. But as of now, I think the league is ours to win, but let's not count City out.
No, that's a good point. We haven't spoken much about AFCON. I think City lose 2 players in Ait Nuri and Mamouche, so they're not losing one of the informed players, but they are losing depth. And then Chelsea, I don't think have any African players. So us and Chelsea don't have African players. So I think Villa might have 1 or 2. So yeah, AFCON is going to have a role to play, and Liverpool are going to miss Salah and I think one other. So yeah, I was just speaking to some Liverpool friends. I don't know if they're going to make top 4 if they don't get a new manager. I think Slot is just not doing well. What's your thoughts, Eugene, on Liverpool? I know that they're not really our rival anymore, but they did win the league last year. And what's your thoughts on where they're at?
No, I'm enjoying where they at, man. I really love what they're doing. This is they must continue like this. This is the best thing that can happen to for us, to see Liverpool in the state, to see, their fan base, in tears. Yeah, we're not losing any African players. Man United, I think they're losing Ahmad. I think their right hand side, their whole right hand side, because it's Ahmad, it's Buemo and Mazraoui. I think was playing the right centre back. They're going to be losing. So yeah, teams. I think Everton will be missing Iliman Ndiaye, who's one of their best players. So that is a boost for us to be missing, to meet an Everton side that will be missing Iliman Ndiaye. In terms of who's our our biggest rivals, I'm looking at this Premier League standings. It's quite odd if you think about it. Almost every time, I think maybe it applies to everybody else, but almost every second game Arsenal plays, they're playing a team in the top 4. The other week we were playing Sunderland. They were, I think, second or third. The other day we were playing Tottenham. I think they were 4th. Chelsea, they were 2nd. Villa were 3rd. You get what I mean? Like every time we play a game, we seem like we're playing a top of the table clash. I don't know. And we're doing quite well against them. Yes, it's disappointing that we've dropped points, but if you think about it, we have faced some really, really good teams in the past few games. So, who's our biggest rivals in the Premier League? I don't know, because the other week it was Chelsea. They were going on as if they're going for the title. Now City are within 2 points. Apparently Villa now is in the title race. So I don't know. Whoever second is our biggest rival. So City, because they are now in second place in the Champions League. I see they I think they're number 9 with 10 points. I'm not really worried about them in that regard. They've got Real Madrid. They need to. City need to. They are like us. They are like everybody else. They need that top 8 position. So I feel they're gonna go with a full strength team against the Real Madrid. And then I think their last 2 games is against further teams. I think Bodo Glimt and somebody useless. In terms of us in the Champions League, I can't really give you a team that I can say is our main rival. But I will say this. Our main rival in the Champions League is getting 16 points, and we're 1 point away from that. And once we get that against Club Brugge, then, Inter and Kairat Almaty next month, those will be the game. Because I think if you get 16, last season you were guaranteed top 8. If we get top 8 tomorrow against Bruges, or in midweek against Bruges, then at least January becomes a month where we can still, rest players in the Champions League, looking to make sure that in the Premier League we play full strength.
No, that's a good shot, bro. I do think, just going back to who our rivals are, I think PSG and Bayern are, because they don't play very hard games in their league. Their leagues are very easy. So I'm worried that they can rotate nicely in the league. When they come to the Champions League, they can be very fresh. So I think that's why I'm more worried about the Champions League. In the beginning of the season, I thought we'd have a better chance in the Champions League because it's 15 to 17 games. there's more high lines, so we can exploit it more. There's less low blocks and mid blocks. So I thought we'd do better in the Champions League this season, and we have actually done better because we haven't lost a game. But what I'm saying is I don't know if we will have those moments that win you Champions League ties, like semi-finals, finals, and etc. But it could happen. But I just have a stronger sense that we'll win the Premier League this season than the Champions League. But we could win either, and it's just exciting that we're in the running for both. We're on the top of the log for both, and I think we mustn't forget that. I think there's been some negative kind of emotion and expression around the club, but we are top of the Champions League and the Premier League, and we mustn't take that lightly. So let's just start to just end the pod with talking about injuries and who is possibly going to be coming back, and also look towards January. And is there anyone that you've been eyeing out for January transfer? Any rumors? I think I know I mentioned it on the group, and some people have not been keen on it. Other people have actually been keen on it. It's maybe worth recalling Kivior. What's your thoughts on that, guys? Because he did, deputize well for Gabriel when he was out last season. He knows the team. He knows the system. It's not someone that you'd have to do a lot of training to get back up to speed. It's our system, our calls, our press, etc. So I was thinking of recalling him and then maybe getting someone in midfield to cover Rice because I just feel like if we're not going to play MLS there, Rice doesn't really have cover because Marino has now been playing so much as a centre forward. If Gyökeres and Havertz are back, then Marino can cover Rice, then it's not as needed. But I just feel the amount of minutes that Rice has been putting in and the amount of legs we need in our midfield, we might need just a lone, a young player to cover who's not expecting a lot of minutes but can help with minutes. Ryan, what's your thoughts on injuries and transfers?
Firstly, you made a good point there, Eugene, because we're about to play Everton and Crystal Palace. They're coming up, and they're 4th and 6th in the league. It's ridiculous. It's madness. Kivior, I would bring him back without question. I love him. I really do. I know he made mistakes, and he cost us quite a significant goal in the Champions League. But I think he plays with a passion and a fire, and I'd bring him back. In terms of the midfield, I just think, for goodness sake, can we rotate, man? If we need to, let's play MLS at 6. That's what he used to do. That's his position. Let's bring Nwaneri in at 10 every now and then, or on the right, or even the left. Whatever we need to do, let's rotate. Let's play around with our team. I'm not too worried about transfers because I like the squad size now, which I've had concerns with in the past. So Kivior is a good shout because we can't. I know he's played for Netherlands and he played for Ajax at centre back, but I really don't want to rely on Timber at centre back. That's putting pressure on him and it's putting him out of position and it's messing with the whole structure. So if Kivior can help out, then that's fantastic. And he's left-footed, so he can help. Between him, Hincapié, and Gabriel, I think that adds some depth. Otherwise, I'd keep it as is. Yeah.
Cool. What's your thoughts, Langton, on injuries and transfers potentially in January?
I don't think we need any new signings in January. We've got players that are on injury list whom we expect to come. We've got Kai Havertz, whom I don't even know if Kai Havertz he always gets injured, that guy. We've got Jesus. He just came on now. He played recently against Man U in the backdoor friendly game. We've got players who are on the injury list. If we can just get those, wait for those players. If they come back, our depth is too much to go all the way to finish the league. As for the incoming players, I hear rumors saying we might get 1 or 2 players. But for me, I couldn't like to see new players coming in. Let's wait for the one that are injured to come and give us the depth that we already have. That means if they come, we'll have more depth than what we have now. Yeah.
So just had a comment from Sibusiso here. You can't recall Kivio. Remember, he has an obligation, and we've registered that fee in this year's financials and brought in Hincap here with an option. So yeah, no, it's a good point. Thanks for sharing that. And then he said we could bring back Maldini Kakuri, who is one of the favorites on the Arsenal Facebook group. So yeah, I think that's an option just to have some more cover, because to have Salman on the bench is a worry. So that is definitely an option. Thanks, Basuso, for mentioning that. And then he also had an interesting comment here about Everton game. We have 7-day rest, so that is good. That is what's needed. The Everton game is going to be key. I mean, Everton also have been a tricky team in the last few seasons for us to play. And Moyes, it's going to be like master versus student type thing, whereas Moyes was, Everton manager when Arteta was there, and I'm sure he learned a few things from Moyes as well. So it's going to be interesting for him to face Moyes. And I think when he was at West Ham, Moyes gave him a hard time. So I think that's going to be a tough game, but I agree with you, Spasuso. I think we can get the 3 points. So, yeah, some interesting fixtures coming up. I think the pod has gone on quite long. Let's end it there. And thank you, everyone, for contributing. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for watching. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, even on not on the live chat, but on the actual chat if you're watching this after the fact. Thank you for joining us on the Mzansi Gunner Podcast, and we will be back in 2 weeks for another bit of analysis on the next few games. Look forward to seeing you, and yeah, remember to just continue engaging with us on social media and come and watch the games at the Hooters, Durban, and Fourways in Joburg. We look forward to seeing you in any of those places. Cheers. Bye.